The bullish case for Ethereum. Let's talk about it. I'm going to talk about the price action against the US dollar. I'm going to talk about the price action against Bitcoin and some other important metrics that you, as an Ethereum investor, need to know about. Quick side note before we jump in. Show some support. I'd appreciate it. We have a Discord community full of free resources and we're here to help you. We don't charge for anything we do. We just want to see you succeed. All right, everyone, we are going to be doing this in one take, so if I make mistakes, I'm sorry. First, as always, we need to zoom out and get the big picture. So we are looking at Ethereum on a high time frame. And what I immediately see here is market structure. We had a series of lower highs, so I apologize for the keyboard noise. Just gonna go ahead, put some LH in, and now we are kind of testing what I would define as a higher high. This is bullish, right? A break in market structure. I mean, you could draw some pretty abstract trend lines from all of this volatility, but at the end of the day, don't think it's worth it. Pretty clear accumulation zone in and around 1600, I would say. This is definitely where buyers were interested. And I would say we have some support in and around 1800, but ultimately if we are going to see a push to the upside for Ethereum, we want to see it break market structure to the upside, and that's what we're seeing right now. This is the weekly time frame, definitely a high time frame. We can get a little bit lower resolution with the daily candle, and as you can see, insane, let me zoom in all the way here, insane intra-candle volatility. This was towards the end of October, but we are starting to break market structure to the upside. This is Ethereum against the dollar, but if we pull up this other chart here, we have the ETH BTC ratio. So this is the amount of Bitcoin it costs for one Ethereum. This is the weekly time frame. So on the left of this chart is 2021. Again, pretty clear support at the current level. I guess you could identify these as a macro zone, right? Long wicks down, scoop right back up. This is at 0.05. The one thing that I think doesn't look very good here is that we printed a new low. We printed a new low right here at 0.06. And we put a horizontal line there, and then we drew down further. That isn't ideal, but as long as Ethereum continues to bounce here and bounce in the direction of the next resistance, personally, I think things look good. Because if you go from current price to swing high of this range, you're looking at about 60% in the Bitcoin ratio. And you can usually expect the US dollar denominated version to bounce a little bit harder. So when we look at the ETH BTC ratio, it's looking all right. It's not looking terrible. If we were to start trending towards a new low, then it would look awful, because when you zoom out of this structure, the next support 0.045, but I would say we'd probably get off this ride at 0.035, which in this circumstance would be 34% down. So honestly, at this point, it's kind of do or die, but we have good structure. Even when we zoom in, this is the weekly time frame. If we were to zoom in on the daily, we had a couple green candles in a row. We broke above these range highs because we got these pretty high wicks that slammed the price back down. Another metric that I want to talk about that I think is worth talking about, everyone talks about Bitcoin dominance, but how about Ethereum dominance? It is a pretty similar ideology to what ETH BTC is showing you, right? This is the daily, so we have a high time frame support in and around 17%. We did print this new low at 19% when we were in a very Bitcoin dominated market, right? We saw a pretty significant markdown there. Does appear to be bouncing. So kind of in confluence here between ETHD and BTCD. All right, so we understand that the price action is starting to look good on the higher time frames, but let's zoom in on what exactly we're seeing. So this is a platform called Velo Data, and it allows you to visualize a whole bunch of different metrics that you can't really get access to without using goofy indicators. Basically, it is showing the exact same thing, right? We had a series of lower highs. We're starting to break market structure, but I want to zoom in on this open interest. Open interest is the amount of notional value in the derivatives ecosystem, it is denominated in Ethereum. I don't know if you can see that on the far right, but it's saying 2.043 million, and this is accounting for Binance and Bybit. But there's another tool we can cross-reference it against called Coinalyze, and that shows us that there's $5.5 billion of derivatives in the Ethereum ecosystem right now. Not the Ethereum ecosystem, in the Ethereum ticker itself. So that would be your futures accounts, your perpetuals, etc. This is kind of like, the way I look at it is spot volume is going to drive the price, create trends, facilitate trends, but it is the derivatives data. It's kind of like fuel to the fire. And as we have been in this very tight consolidation, we have really high open interest. That's kind of setting the stage for some pump mentals. Kind of looking at a smaller time frame, this is the 4 hour. We had a very clear range here, In this area, sellers had control, plain and simple, right? Every time the price ranged up, let me put a little arrow in here just to make it crystal clear what we're looking at. If I can even find the arrow marker, there we go. So sellers had control here, right? Push the price down. Sellers had control here, push the price down. But now buyers have control. This range, I would say, is at around 1880, 1875-ish. So this is a retest in progress. Trend line connecting the higher lows. So Ethereum does look kind of primed to take off. That being said, we are also seeing a decrease in spot volume shown along the bottom here. Most amount of spot volume on this markup, and since then we've been consolidating price, consolidating volume into a smaller and smaller range. Massive contraction of volatility. Another useful thing that I think is worth talking about is I'm going to go ahead and zoom out to the daily again. We're going to date back until early spring, so like Q2, and there's this useful indicator here on Velo data called, let me find it, volume profile fixed range. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do from swing high to current price, and it shows you these bars. These are effectively how much volume is being traded at what price, and you can see that we are in a cluster where there has been a lot of volume traded. There's a lot of price action history, but as soon as you start trending above between now and the swing high at 2150, it becomes very illiquid. There is not much price history. So I think when Ethereum does pop, it's going to pop with force. We have a lot of open interest, and there's relative illiquidity above us. What's interesting is you can kind of see just how much leverage people are currently packing on, because using this Velo data, if you didn't know, I love this platform. It's completely free. Sponsor me. How about that? You can see with the liquidation data set, that every time Ethereum moves even like 2%, there is hundreds of millions of dollars positions being force closed. This is a great segue because it's like, oh, there's really high open interest. There's a lot of liquidations up and down. What is the directionality? What is the bias to the Ethereum derivatives market? And what we can do is we look at aggregated funding rate. Basically, if it's red down here, that means shorts pay a premium. And if it's green, that means longs pay a premium. So the market during this entire consolidation, because we're back on the daily, so this candle right here, the big green dildo, was October 23rd. And from then until now, it's been 2 weeks, 14 days. The market has remained long biased. So we can basically safely assume that the majority of the open interest that has accumulated is long bias. Things are looking good. The last thing I want to touch on is when we look at Ethereum gas fees. They're pretty cheap. Basic transaction is $1.43 right now. For a swap, you're paying about $25. For a bridge, you're paying about $8, and NFT sale about $42. Although these numbers are quite high, proportionally quite low compared to history. Of course, got to check in on ultrasound money, which tracks the rate of deflation. So we are currently looking at negative 0.185% per year. So overall, I don't know, Solana has really led the way so far in this pump, but I think Ethereum is going to catch up. If you learned something, subscribe, show some support. I'd really appreciate it.